Hello and welcome to Anti-Depressing. This is the show where we talk about everything from liturgy to Lexapro. I'm Jasmyn Joubert.
And I'm Chanel Shaw. And this is our guest,
Will Hickl.
Wow.
William.
Our friend.
John Hickl.
Our brother. Our biggest affirmer.
Our biggest supporter. This guy.
Will Hickl.
Supports us through and through.
Yep.
That's what I'm here for.
Wow. We're so happy to have you
here. You're here.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to hear everything about you today.
Sure. Well, we'll see how much we can get into.
Everything about
Deep
you
tracks
today.
only intense stuff.
That's right.
You're about to hear things you've never heard.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
The most dramatic episode
Should we
ever.
play before we do any news?
I think we should.
Yeah.
Let's break it open
break the
first.
ice. Get everybody comfortable.
I
Everybody
normally
loose.
sing, so I think that it's your turn for us
No, I don't
to
have
guess.
one off the top of my head.
You are lame.
Come on.
I always... Okay. All
because
right.
you're so good at it.
You are.
Please. You're guessing.
You start.
All right. Okay, y'all.
Let's see how she did it.
We are going to play our game that was inspired by a TikTok trend, so don't sue me. We didn't come up with it. And it's if you know the words to the song, you guys know this game. You love it. You're
Hopefully
very
you love
familiar.
it.
Hopefully you
we
love it because we love it.
Clearly addicted.
So I'm going to start, and then I'll have Jasmyn and William guess.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. If you know the words to this song, sing along, sing along. Time.
Keeps on slipping. And no?
Wow, he had it.
But this is an old song.
Off
This
the
one's
top.
like really hard. And it's also not the beginning of
I
the
feel
song.
like is it time after time?
No.
Time after time. I
was
feel
a good
like that
one.
was
That was a
what
good
it was
guess.
going to be.
Dang.
Time for me to fly.
Ooh, that would have been good, but
That would have
no.
been a good song. There's a lot of songs with time in it. Are you looking to make sure this is even a song?
Yeah.
I was like, your eyes got real concerned after
Oh
you
my
said
gosh.
that.
It's not. I was wrong. Okay. okay. Here we go. Start over. Boom. Okay. I close.
I close.
She said that's better.
That was better. Yeah.
You got anything? I close. I feel like that's what she's saying.
I close.
I feel like guess would be that the next lyric said
So
close
this is
my eyes.
actually the beginning of the song. It's beginning. This is oldies.
Oldies.
Yeah.
Do you need more?
Yeah.
I need more.
I close.
I mean, we already knew you said I close. So can you give us more than that?
Okay. Check the attitude in this room. It's feeling pretty hot in here. I close my...
I close my eyes, but
Man.
do you know?
We're stumped. I'm stumped.
At this point, I'm just going to sing the song.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll do another one that's easier.
Oh, this is embarrassing. We're gonna lose.
I close my eyes only for a moment and the moment's gone.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
I never.
Dust in the wind,
It would have
y'all.
taken me a long time.
Dust
The whole
in
episode.
the wind. Okay.
That's a very obscure song.
No.
Yes.
All right, y'all. Here we go. I'm going to come up with another one because they love it. Okay, here we go. If you know the words to this song, sing along, sing along.
You still don't know what song you're gonna do?
No, I am. You are like crazy. I'm just making sure it's
You're
one that you guys
scrolling.
actually know. Okay. All right, here we go. Lights.
Go down
In the city.
No.
That would have been a good song. Lights
Lights.
flying down the 10. Darn it. Both of my guesses have been Jonas Brothers songs. I need to go home.
This one's also hard, you guys. I'm playing to win.
You're winning.
Lights. The lights go. the lights go. I checked the lyrics too. I'm right. Come on, you guys. This band is loved by so many people. You probably cried to them.
Cried. I
You're gonna have
can't
to tell
anymore.
us.
Here we go.
This is a rough
All right.
round.
The lights go out and I can't be saved. Tides that I tried
I
to
was
swim
thinking Coldplay.
again.
I was thinking Coldplay, but I don't know the words to that. No one knows
me
the words to that
neither.
song.
Oh,
It's all
I
just-
beg, I beg, please, singing.
Okay, why don't we let's move on and then let's do one at the end to see if we can redeem ourselves. But
That's
I
true.
don't wanna-
Do you have one?
Wow.
Or do you want to do it later?
Oh,
You want
I
some
can
time
do
to
it.
think?
I can do something.
You can
for
do it now. Okay, we're ready.
Okay.
Maybe we'll
If you know.
The words to this song, sing along, sing along. Is this what I sound like?
Yes! When you're like, there's no way how you don't know this. And you've just done that.
Do it again. Free.
Nope.
Okay.
It sounds very funk what you're doing with your
Sort
voice.
of. It's like right on the nose for the two of you.
Ah,
If I do
Dang
the
it.
second word, you're gonna know.
A Barbie girl.
Nope. Oh, that would have been good. See, these all would have been good. That's not
that's
that
so
though.
true.
Okay, do it one more time.
I'm okay.
Yes.
Um,
I'm gonna fly.
Okay, I'm gonna do the second word, and
Okay,
That'd be
yeah.
something
you're gonna
that
get
he
it.
would
Okay.
know.
No,
That's
no,
what
something
I'm like.
y'all would know easily.
Okay.
This is like on the nose for you. Okay, I'll do the second word. You're gonna guess it immediately.
Come on.
I'm a.
Sucker for you.
There you go, there you go.
Come on.
I literally.
Darn
Like,
it.
who is black and who is white? I was like, I'm a soul man. She's like, I'm a sucker. One Jonas Brothers.
It's
One
Jonas
like,
Brothers,
That's
yeah.
really
was
bad
very
because
good.
every other one I guess a Jonas Brothers song, and
That
that
was
one I was
very
like,
good.
Will won't sing a Jonas
Dang,
Brothers
that was
song.
on
It's the only one I
nose.
know. So
That was on the
Dang.
nose. That's what I sound like. I'm really sorry, you guys. That's really hard.
Thank you so much for like noticing that. It's actually hard to be on the receiving end of that, but
Yeah, that
What a
is
great
really
but
hard.
it's
start.
very
But it's fun being the person that sings it.
wow.
All
Well,
right.
contrary to what you might think from that, Will actually is in the music industry, which we're going to talk a little bit about today. So I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited for people to know more.
Absolutely.
You want to hear some not sad Catholic
You know
news?
what? I would actually really love to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This season of my life in Anti-Depressing Catholic news, I'm going to share a little story, a little personal story for you. My oldest daughter's godparents are Chanel Shaw and Par and Chris, as my kids call him, Father Christopher Camry, shout out. And he is lovely. She is lovely. Noelle has like just a gift of godparents.
I'll take that.
And she's pretty obsessed with the fact that her godfather is a priest. And so this is just a little friendly shout out to good priests everywhere. Because her godfather is awesome. He's coming to Disney in a couple weeks. And my daughter's so excited to get to go to Disney with her godfather. In Louisiana, they call their godfathers parrain, which is why that's what we call him. So she's so hype. And yesterday, she was telling me that essentially about how great her godfather is, because I was doing the sign of the cross with her before she ate. She was like, Mom, does it go Holy Spirit or Holy Spirit? Like, which shoulder do you start with? And I was like, oh, it's like Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And she was like, I don't think you're right. I was like, I mean, I've been doing it for a while, and that is what it is. And she was like, I'll just ask my param because he's a priest. So, like, girl,
He knows
like, I
more
know.
than you simple folk.
Yes. And she literally said, and I quote, he knows more than everybody because he's not a regular person. She
There
was
it
like,
is.
we're just regular people, so we don't really know. But because my godfather is a priest, he knows.
Yep.
Which is partly her being so proud and partly because Joy's godfather is also a par and Chris. His name is also Chris, but he is not a priest. And this is now a competition for my children of who is better. And Noelle will always be like, well, my godfather baptized me. Did yours?
Oof.
And she's like, that's like a
Woof.
big thing. But it's very cute. very sweet. And I'm just very thankful to have like good priests in our life that our kids can like see that version of fatherhood and that kind of presence. And that's a blessing.
It is.
Gifts.
There it is.
Gifts on gifts.
And that is good Catholic news.
Anti-depressing.
Love someone
Isn't that good?
tonight.
Yeah. Well,
Don't you think we
can
should
sample
record that?
Yeah, we can sample that. And
Thank you so much.
Put that on the pads.
Oh my gosh, our first time in the music studio.
Oh, you want to? Oh, I was just gonna take that audio.
No. I think we should actually do it.
Okay.
I want to have headphones and I want like a video
Will's
of us
like,
doing it.
I
want it to
more
be
work
legit
is-
because I want like a
yeah.
little jingle behind it.
Okay.
You're free.
I don't do anything else.
Anyways, Will, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah,
bit
everybody
about me.
listening.
First, just like a
Who
general.
is this guy in
Why
the
is he here? Why are
yellow
we on his
shorts,
couch?
Hawaiian shirt? Why are we in his
Why does
house?
he look so good and why do we look so chill?
There are so many questions that
So
need to
many
be answered.
questions.
Hit us with it.
Oh man. She just cheers the camera for those listening. Yeah, my name is Will. I do enough things that my wife is like, you need to stop doing all these things.
Yep.
That's pretty much the summary. But one of the biggest things is I own a Catholic record label called Novum Records. Jasmyn's husband Stephen is signed, and he has many great
Signed,
songs.
sealed,
with us.
delivered.
Yes, he's great. And but I do software development by day, and then they were joking about how many other email addresses I have on my phone.
How many did we count? Will?
I don't know. It's like
It was like 40.
no, it was like 25 or 30.
It was
But-
20 just in Gmail, and then you were like,
Yeah.
"There's a couple other things."
And then you were like, there's this other app that's like Gmail but better. And there's like 9 on
Shout out
it.
to Proton Mail, yeah.
Dude,
"It's
a lot.
unhinged."
It's unhinged.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's a lot. I do that.
It's impressive. It's impressive that you can manage it.
Do that. Have a software gig. And I'll DJ here and there. I'll play retreats and masses and youth events, leading worship, and I don't know. What do you want me to say?
Tell us about your maybe newest
The newest thing.
endeavor.
Okay, yeah.
Because
So
Will's a man who's always up to something.
I'm
That's
always
something
up
you
to
need to
something.
know.
Yeah, just when
He's
he's like,
always
oh,
scheming.
Oh, me? I just like got a little software gig, just running a little like record label,
And
whatever.
when he says a little software, like a full-time job,
Full-time
Yeah.
job.
you
yeah,
say
yeah.
it in such a cute little
But
quaint
then
way.
he'll be like,
It's
oh,
a
so
full
I
job.
have this like idea that I've just been like noodling on. I'm like, oh, cool. You just like started it and it's just an idea in your brain. He's like, no. I have like a whole team.
No,
of
I'm
people
like
that work-
launching something.
We're like
It's
working on it.
it's
We have like a whole,
business.
well, I'll cast it on the TV. You guys can check it out. Yeah. Got it.
So
Yeah.
tell us about it. We're so excited.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you've noticed, if you're looking at the artwork for Anti-Depressing, you'll notice at the top left corner there's a little logo. It looks like a little play button. It also looks like the word Fio because it is the logo for Fio, which is Latin for to become, to create, to come into existence. And so Fio is a brand new streaming app for Catholic content, basically like a Catholic Spotify, where you can get podcasts, eventually music, eventually video content. So we have a lot of plans for it. There'll be a lot of cool liturgical calendar type things baked in, and if you're listening to this episode on it right now or you're downloading it, you will notice it is kind of elementary as of the release of this episode, but I promise you it'll get better. There will be play speeds for podcasts and sleep timers and all the things.
We've seen the future.
Yeah,
We've
yeah,
seen
yeah.
It
the
looks
goals.
pretty good, y'all.
So,
Hang tight.
so yeah, no, I was really, I was thinking about a lot of, I mean, I'm not going to give you the full story as to how I got there, but I was just noticing like, you know, with the ocean of content that exists and some of it just not being super wholesome, to put it frankly and I guess nicely, mixed with a few other things that you can ask me about separately. I'll tell anybody about it, but for the sake of time, just noticing things going on, in culture, in media as a whole, but also just seeing that there's a lot of Catholic content that's being generated that is getting lost in the ocean of Spotify. And so trying to solve that problem of how can we bring this all together? How can we, create that kind of ecosystem to build awareness and help discovery, right? Like our hope with Fio is that, you would download it and then you would see, we have, as of right now, it's not even launched yet as of this recording, but we're releasing this with it being out. So, I don't know how much time that'll be, but as of today, we've got over 100 podcasts on there. And by the time you're listening to this, it could be 200. And just seeing like how cool that, how cool it is that there's so much creativity happening. I'm a huge fan of that. And that's why I started the label. It started with just like being a musician and seeing musicians and saying, man, there's a lot of underserved musicians that like have these dreams and goals, but how can we help them achieve that? Essentially, how can we help them use those gifts and not hide any lamps under bushel baskets? I call myself like the bushel basket remover, because I'm just like,
Ooh, I
and the
love that title for
perfectionist
you.
whisperer. Those two things, I'm like, those are kind of what I'm passionate
him.
about. But I was just thinking like, how could we do this on like an even bigger scale, and not for the sake of like, when I say bigger scale, I don't mean like, I want to be like a publicly traded big, company like Spotify, but more just like the scale of like how big the church is. Cause we do want to expand this into every single market, AKA like country, like multiple languages, multiple, groups of people that can like discover things around the world. And so anyways, and even just trying to answer that question, like I know a few focus missionaries have told me like, oh, like when my college students like find Jesus and they're like, where do I find all the Catholic stuff? It's like, well, just download Theo and it's all right there. It's all vetted. It's
so
all
cool.
like, our guidelines are really just who are the creators authentically pursuing their faith? And that's basically it. So you can find a podcast on sports or anything, that's like entertaining or informative, history, comedy, faith formation, all the above, but a place that's like, we and our content team have made sure like that it's not heresy at a minimum. Yeah. And that's basically it. Like, and that it's not against the catechism of the Catholic Church is kind of our operating principle. Right. And so anyway, so these ladies were very, I was very blessed when I said, hey, one of the big things we want to do with Theo is create a bunch of original content. How do you guys think about starting a podcast and being our first original show? And so
first original show.
And the way that we are humbled to be here. Humbled.
Honored, blessed.
We are flabbergasted. We were verklumped. It is crazy. I gotta look up that word as you're saying.
That does not sound cute.
As you're saying how you felt.
I felt all of those things except for clumped because I'm nervous about what that means. Will, tell us a little bit like why did you believe in us? Why did you want to start our podcast? Can you hype us up a little bit?
Yeah. Will, why are we so awesome?
What was it that you saw in us that made you
verklempt?
That is not for...
Well, it says pronounced verklempt.
Verklempt.
Overcome with emotion, perhaps even choked or clenched by emotion.
Honestly, that is exactly how I felt.
We were verklempt.
I was verklempt.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Verklempt.
I am verklempt.
Oh my gosh. Amazing.
Wow.
It's Yiddish.
Wait, he's going to affirm us. So get ready.
Yeah, I'm trying to get you
I did
extra
this for Chanel. Chanel, like, this is everything to her.
I know.
A moment where someone can, like, look her in the eye and be like, this is why.
Oh, okay.
So,
You ready?
I'm fully focused.
Yeah.
Here we
Ready?
go. Yeah. Oh, I can't.
Can't
look at you.
I'm looking her in the eye for the listeners. Jasmyn and Chanel. Y'all are just two of the most authentic people I've ever met.
Verklempt.
We're mouth agape. For everyone that's not watching on video, we are mouth agape. We're so... This is just too much. We're struggling to get through this. Yeah, we're struggling to get through this. Yeah.
Very, very authentic. Very... I mean, y'all are... I mean, let's be frank. Y'all are fun. I wanted everyone to experience how fun y'all were. And that, there is no, like... there's just nothing fake. I just think that's kind of a super... refreshing thing in this world, and to be honest, this is the real reason. I'm just selfish, and I'm like, I want to hear these ladies talk as much as possible because they're intelligent, they're fun, they're pursuing holiness, they're authentic.
No, I can't look at him. I can't. It's so stressful.
And it's just like with my artist, when I'm trying to sign a musician to like help them, get their bushel basket removed and shine their lamp. It's the same with these ladies. They're just super I mean, I'm just trying to think of more adjectives, but they're amazing. And hopefully, if you've been listening for the last however many episodes came before this one, you know, you're still here with them for that very reason, I'm sure. So
Wow.
yeah, I don't know. Me and my wife are
End
just
the
huge
episode.
fans of y'all, and yeah, I mean, they're
really
funny.
felt
Like
that.
it's a fun listen. It's not, you know, it's not stifling. It's not whatever.
You know,
So-
we try every day. We wake up, we grind, we hustle.
We wake
You
up
know?
and think, what do the people want from us?
What are the people?
And then we give the people.
No, but that's
what they
actually-
want.
I
let
put
me-
on my bra one arm at a time, and I try my hardest to bring the people what they want, which
Never
is
mind.
which is humor. So thank y'all
Mom.
for being here.
No, but I was gonna say something else about y'all.
Oh,
Another affirmation. Oh,
Dang.
He found it.
I lost it again. Sorry,
me.
I got lost in one of
this
my
one
17
really doesn't
email
want to be
address.
said.
No, I'll probably think about my. I'll probably.
The Lord doesn't want you to gas us up too much.
No,
And that's probably good.
Humility is
I'll-
something that I do not have, so that's probably good.
No, I remember what I was gonna say. It's that you're very humble. No, actually that's true. But what I was gonna say was that y'all don't. I think what's nice, and I'm sure the listeners are nodding their heads with me as I say, like, y'all don't take yourself too seriously. Like,
That is true.
you know, like it's just this is the most like one of the most raw podcasts out there. So authentic, raw, fun, goofy.
Man, gosh, if I put together like a
Wow.
word cloud of us right now, I would just love it. Like I'm loving these
I
words.
just love it. This
you know?
is good.
And my next therapy appointment in a week and a half.
You're gonna be like,
Christina, I'm
"No
ready
notes."
for you. It's
No.
only positive stuff. No notes. No,
No
crying
notes,
in a week and a half. Chanel's coming with smiles.
She should
coming
be.
with
Well, and-
Finally
So they've
She
been
said
here.
all my childhood issues
gone.
I can feel them leaving my
Gone. Oh my
body.
gosh.
I'm
Yeah.
healed.
Mhm. Remember
Yeah.
that playground incident we talked about? Forget it.
Forget
I'm happy
it.
now.
She's better.
Yep.
I'm doing a podcast now. Someone
Yep.
believes in me. Yeah. No, well, Chanel and I had a
good.
really good conversation earlier where she was just speaking truth to me. Like
you, man.
I needed some good kind of wisdom and fellowship and friendship and so yeah, y'all are just great friends to me and my wife and especially our son. So they're here right now at my house because Jasmyn is my son's godmother and then Stephen is his godfather. And so my wife had to go out of town on a trip. So I was like, can I get godmommy, please? And so she came.
It's the honor of my life. I could just squeeze that kid every day.
He is a blessing.
And I have
Little
every day
man.
this week. So it's been
Yeah.
great.
Little
Yeah.
belly man.
The
he's
best
so
time.
cute.
Belly man.
But, yeah,
so
but since I like have a million things running through my head, I was like, oh well, if Jasmine's gonna be here, I should fly in Chanel and we should all just record some shows.
And
because
here we are,
So
you
here
guys.
we
That's
are
why we're here.
on this
Wow.
couch.
Thank
On
you
this
for
couch.
the context,
You're
dude.
probably wondering where's this place we've been. So many episodes recorded on this couch.
Yeah,
It's
on the
becoming a
couch.
vibe.
So yeah, you guys are great, and
Wow.
and yeah, hopefully we'll be adding more original content to FIO.
I love that. Well, we're honored to be exclusive content on FIO.
We
It's
are.
going to be great. So good. So smooth, easy to use. Such a good place for Catholic stuff. Especially like I'll have it happen where I'm in the car with my kids and I'll like put something on Spotify and we're just like listening to Daniel Tiger. But then all of a sudden some like trap song comes on next. And I'm like, what is happening? Like I didn't even cue this up. I don't know how it happens, but I'm like driving and then I can't turn it off. And then my kids are like, what are they saying? And so I'm very excited for when the music stuff comes out and we can be like, oh, you know what? If something comes on next, cool. Because
totally
it's
fine.
all going to be like stuff that we're comfortable with and confident in.
Yeah.
Which is going to be great too when our kids get older and we can be like, this is like something you can use.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and we'll eventually have like a kid specific app or setting.
Cute. Of
And
course
and
we
in
will.
terms of the music, I guess I should disclaim this. Like the music is not going to be, people think Catholic music. I think majority of people
not
think
just, like,
praise and
chant.
worship. Yeah, it's not just chant. There might be some on there. I mean, we'll
course.
put anything, it's there. But, Catholic means universal. So we're like, well, let's get every single genre, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's a big part of the label is, we're signing artists and working with artists who want to make music that they want to make. So, which is not just worship,
Just
right?
Catholic
there are a lot of
artists doing good
yeah.
things.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great Catholic artists who are worship, but there's a lot of worship leaders who are like, I just want to make rock and roll, or I just want to make pop, and so yeah, we're here for it.
awesome.
I just I love seeing people fully alive, and I don't know. I guess we could tell the Stephen story if we wanted to.
Yeah. Do you want to dive into, tell us about, well, we could go in multiple directions.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about mentoring artists
That part.
and kind of that journey for you, and specifically in regards to like helping artists work through perfectionism. Chanel was sharing with me about a couple of like artists that struggle with that. You want to tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
them?
there's some celebos, okay, that really struggle with perfectionism. So Shakira struggled with perfectionism. What did you say earlier, Jasmine?
Her hips, sometimes her hips were lying.
Yeah, sometimes her hips were lying to her, like our minds do, right? Shakira struggled with perfectionism. She said, there were times where she would record music times and times over and just not feel like it was ever perfect. But she blessed us with so many gems. So, like, give yourself grace. And
There it
then
is.
Harry Potter, the wizard, doubted himself as well. There were times where he had
Not
to record
just in the
scenes.
storyline.
Yeah, not just in the storyline, but in real life. He had to record scenes like over and over and over again just because he
Daniel
wanted
Radcliffe.
it to be
Yeah.
Yeah, the actor who played Harry Potter.
the wizard.
He's always in
Right.
character. He has become Harry
wizard.
Potter.
He is Harry Potter,
Right? He, struggled so much with feeling like he needed to be perfect that it really affected his mental well-being while he was filming the Harry Potter series, which was so good. So, there's all around people struggle with perfectionism, especially when they feel like so much, is being thrust upon them, responsibility for entertainment or production, etc. And so I'm sure with people that produce things, especially things that are so close to their heart, with people that write music or sing, that there's this like level of perfectionism that exists that is probably super hard to manage, is my perception, especially when you're putting out like your baby. You probably want it to be like exactly the way that you want it to be.
Right. Yeah, no, that's very prevalent in a lot of kind of creative spaces, creative minds. And if I was to try to do a deep dive analysis, I would imagine it's just because like there is so much saturation and competition, quote unquote. I say competition in quotes because like there really isn't. One of the biggest things I tell people is, when they're like, oh, I don't want to have to compete with this, or this. I say, look, do you have any Spotify playlists? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, what's, let's say you have like a vibes playlist. I'm like, let's say you have 100 songs on there. If you find another one that you're like, man, this would fit so well, you're not going to go, oh, shoot, I already have 100. I need to get rid of one and replace it. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I now have another one on this playlist that can go on for forever, right? And so for just trying to flip that mentality of like, actually, if I have a vibes playlist that's 2 songs, how boring is that? But if it's 200, I'm like, man, endless vibing, like,
That's a
Yeah.
word.
you know what I mean?
It's
And
so
so
true.
it's the same with like anyone out there who has that gift. It's like, and sure, you might be like, well, there's only this one event at my parish that's, either I get or someone else, and there's a limit there. And like, okay, sure, we can talk about like, the finite kind of like event space, but that's not even what I'm getting at. And honestly, like if you believe in God's provision, that will work itself out. But moving that aside, it's like, if people are like, well, I don't know, like my sibling does music, so I shouldn't, or like my best friend does it, so I shouldn't because it's like, well, no, that's if you feel called to that, if you feel drawn to that, if that gives you life, that's the most important thing. If that gives you life, you being fully alive is what glorifies God. So like you need to glorify God and you need to be fully alive.
word.
Therefore, you need to pursue the thing that you want to pursue. And so that's a huge kind of pep rally talk I give like a lot of artists when they like try to do that. And then in terms of the perfectionism, I mean, I have a whole piece that I've written about this called Perfectionism is Anti-Art on my Substack called The Human Musician. Just basically saying like, I don't know. There's a lot of cliches like, oh, like, no one's perfect or blah, blah, blah. And it's true. But I just think that like the nature of perfectionism that keeps you like chained to the ground is keeping art from existing. And that's what I mean by anti-art. It's like you're letting it, if perfectionism could be a separate like person in your life, they're like just holding you to a chair. And you need to like kind of just be like, no, thank you. Like, and we all have different degrees of it. Like, there are definitely songs there's at least one song that like I actually, spent double the amount of money and spent double the amount of time because I was kind of being what I tell people not to. But I did eventually put it out, and I had to say stop. But other than that, like, so I'm just saying, like, I'm not immune from it, but I definitely, it's always easier for me as like the label guy to like coach an artist through it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's something I'm really passionate about, is like, I just want to see every lamp, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I just, I don't know, I think God's given me a gift of like seeing kind of the future of somebody's potential, which is, why like Flynn is an artist I've been really excited about, who you guys have had on the show. And of course, even y'all's show, I'm like, people are going to love this. And I would never guarantee an artist or a podcast, host or hosts working with me. Like, I'm not going to guarantee astronomical success, like in the world's eyes of like, you're going to have millions of whatever streams and views, but more just like, I think you guys would enjoy doing this, and I think it would bring you alive, and therefore it would bring other people alive, and that's the other thing too, is people will be like, this is what happened with Jasmyn's husband Steven, is not so much perfectionism as it is like unrealistic kind of parameters. He's like, since he does the Alive in You camps, which is all mostly praise and worship throughout the summer, he's like, well, I haven't done anything in a while, and I really, the first summer I played with him, he was kind of venting like, well, I don't know, I want to keep recording, but I don't know, I feel like I have to sit in this box. I feel like I'm being chained to these boundaries of what I can do. And I was like, who said that? Like, who was the person who literally spoke those words? And he's like, well, no one, I just think, and I'm like, well, what do you want to make? And he's like, well, and then he lit up and he was like, oh my gosh, I would like do this, and I love this style, and I love these kind of like thoughts of these lyrics, and I've read Dante's Inferno, and I just have all these ideas around like all this stuff. And I let him talk for like 15 minutes, and he was just like buzzing. He was like on top of the moon. And I was like, okay, let's do it. He's like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, no. Let's do that.
Yeah.
He's like, well, no one's going to like it. And I said, if you like it, everyone else will like it, because they will be excited for you, and they'll be excited with you.
Yeah.
And long story short, spoiler alert, like, he made the record.
5 years later.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
But the record's 5 years old. He made it. And man, it's like, it's still one of the
so
greatest.
good.
I think personally, like, of all, we have over 8.5 hours of music that we've made as of this recording. And that is like still one of my favorites that we've ever done. Because it is so like artistic, authentic, and it's just rock. It's a rock and roll album. So if you like rock, it's just, I mean, it's so good. And and I'm not over here like trying to be like, look what I did for Steven. It's more like, no, I'm just excited that Steven, I was able to help him see himself.
Yeah, I feel like that's your greatest gift, because like when we met you, this is summer of 2017. So 6 years ago, Steve and I had just gotten married, no kid. Like, we were all like babies now, it feels like. And Steven was really at a point where like he wasn't writing any music at home. And I thought like, oh wow, I'm marrying a musician. Like, we're going to be writing music. We're going to be whatever. He wasn't doing anything. It just felt so unmotivated. And I was like, just pick up your guitar and like think of something. Like, you can do it. Because I was like, I've listened to your stuff. Like, I know you can do it. But he was in such a rut. And I really thought like, this is it. Like, he had lived in Nashville for a year, stopped living there. We got married, and I was like, he's never going to like do music again. And I could see it like killing him. Like, it was so sad to see like just an artist stopping being an artist. And like that summer that he met you, it like changed him completely, because he was like, wow, somebody thinks that I should just do this, and somebody believes in me. And that's like what you've done for us and so many people. And now I'm just like hyping you up. This is just an affirmations podcast. But
what is
really,
this episode even about?
I don't know. But it is just the power of someone believing in you, and the gift that is like unmatched. Like, having someone just be willing to invest in you and pour into you that way is life-changing.
Right. And honestly, the that what you just said is kind of like, I guess, the rocket fuel to like what, I don't know. And you're a professional, so maybe you could like, I guess maybe there's like a method of not diagnosing, but just like a therapy analysis of like, oh yeah, that makes sense, Will, that you would blah blah, because like the origin story for like why, like where the fire got under me to like start doing the label in the first place and start like trying to pour an artist was because I got like hung up in like, I don't know if you guys know the story, but like back in, I was graduating college and I had like just started getting into praise and worship, and specifically like trying to fill a niche within like the Catholic music scene, or I guess like the worship scene, of like being the guy who does like the synth pads and like all the cool technology stuff behind, like, because everyone's playing guitar and piano and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm like, well, no, I like really am drawn to like the computer side of things and like cool soundscapes, and like there's not really many people that have that skill set or want to do that. And I do. So I like met someone who was in Nashville, and this person kept saying like, oh, like, we're going to do all these things together, and like, I love what you're doing, and, I'm going to fly you out, and like all this stuff. And like, we were even FaceTiming and like kind of just like getting amped about all these kind of dreams for like maybe 2 or 3 months. And then all of a sudden, like, it was just a ghost city. And it was just like one day they didn't respond to a text. I was like, oh, whatever. Day went by, texted, hey, like, you free to chat? Like we said we would, or whatever. 3 days goes by, and I'm like, hey, not to be a bother, but like just checking to see when you want to chat. A month, a year, you know what I mean?
Oh,
and so,
man.
and then when I
gosh.
finally heard from them again, like maybe 15 months after the ghost, they were like, on a Facebook message, like, hey, Will, hope you're doing well. Oh man, it's been too long. Like, you could tell it was a really generic copy and paste message, and they just changed my name. Because they were like, check out my new single. Please like, comment, and share on Facebook.
No way.
And I was like,
whoa, dude.
I was
That
like, this
is
is it. So like,
brutal.
I had two paths. I when keeping it real
goes wrong. Yeah.
But this time,
What did he choose?
But this time, keeping it real went right, because I
Okay,
kept
good.
it real in the good direction. Where I, instead of being like bitter and mad and like, like, which I was upset. Like, don't get me wrong,
yeah.
it made me mad, but it wasn't like let me just like rampage and like just, I don't know, feel sorry for myself necessarily, and like just go down a, a thought pattern, and like I just didn't let it bring me down.
Yeah.
I just said, you know what, I'm not waiting for anybody, and I am never gonna let this happen to anybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's a huge part of like why I'm passionate about like when I find an artist and like kind of trying to like just never like abandon them, or never like let them feel like that
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyways, I don't know.
That's
if that's a
really
thing,
cool.
but-
I really love that story, because you started with like, I wanted to fill a need in Catholic music to like be playing, like doing synth and doing all of that. But it ended with you like filling this way bigger need in Catholic music of like, I'm actually just like filling the need that I didn't have, like this space in somebody to believe in me and invest in me and not abandon me, which like, I know a lot of Catholic artists, and the story you shared is like, that's pretty on brand for people's experience of like trying to connect with people and them just like leaving them on red and just ditching, And so that's beautiful.
There's nothing that boils my blood more, man, when people like say
Good
that.
old ghost.
Well, when they say like, oh, like, I believe in you out. And I mean, that's like just a relationship thing, right? Like, oh, like when you're trying to date somebody and they're like, when you're like, oh, let's, when are we meeting up for dinner? Oh yeah, like we're going on our first date, and then like ghost, or I mean that's something that's happened to me. But I know that like that happens just in relationships in general. Is like people are non-committal, or they're non, there's just, I guess
And
it's
that
a mixture
hurts.
of selfishness or just, lack of manners. I don't know, but I'm not a professional, but I can't really speak.
We'll
to
leave
that.
that to Jasmine.
But that's really hard. But I get it. Like your desire to make no one feel like that. And then like kind of curating all of your life decisions around that, which is beautiful, because you have like now been that person that like continues relationships. Like your superpower is literally just like being able to connect with so many different people. which brings us to our next topic, which we've talked a lot about in general, which is isolation. And I think like something about being in your circle is like once you're friends with you, like that's never going to be your reality because you're always like calling people, checking on people. Your days are so busy and you're still talking to people and still making time for relationships. But so many people don't have that, which is kind of like an epidemic right now, is just severe isolation.
Yeah, that kills me. Yeah, and I know, like, I don't know, Chanel, if you want to break apart like the post that you shared, because Chanel had a story on her Instagram, and it was just about like male loneliness, and I responded, and I was like, dude, this is crazy.
Yeah. So a little bit of context. My Instagram is great. Share a lot of content.
You should follow it.
You should follow it.
It's a little bit of Shrek. It's a little bit of therapy.
That's what I was literally about to say. It's a little bit of Shrek. It's
we
a
know
little
how
bit
to
of
market.
therapy. It's a little bit of song. It's a little bit of dance. It's a little bit of cha-cha.
A little bit of sad.
On this day, I was sharing this post from the holistic psychologist, which I follow. Her posts are pretty good. And so she shared about how it's sad to witness how repressed so many men are. She talked about from a young age, they're conditioned to be strong at all times, to be the, quote, little man of the house, end quote, before they even know who they are. Repressing any feelings of fear, sadness, or insecurity leads to rage. It's why most men can only express one emotion, anger. With no coping skills and crippling insecurities, the end result is dysfunctional behavior and high suicide rates. Using alcohol, pornography, etc., destructive patterns become the norm. Men need purpose, support, belonging, and appreciation for the important role they play in our collective. Men need to know that their lives matter, their role in the family matters, and the rage they feel underneath it all needs to be dealt with. Men need to know when they act recklessly and impulsively, they're hurting, and they're modeling these same patterns for future generations. Men need to know we believe in them, their wisdom, their ability, and their true nature of innate logic, compassion, and problem solving. And talked a lot about in the subcaption about how many men feel isolated because they don't feel free to express their feelings and to journey with other men or other people, period, in how they're experiencing their day-to-day life. And so our role as people that aren't men in affirming men in their belongingness in this collective is so important. And so Will and I had like a little convo from that post on Instagram, and I just thought it was so interesting because you see so many men that are so angry, right? And it's and when you get to the cause, or one of the reasons is because they just feel like they don't have permission to live a life of fullness in the way, and they're also just like not affirmed in, you know, in how grateful we are for them. So yeah. So I would love for you to, as a man, you know, because when I read that, I was struck by it because I know so many men that are just like struggling in the isolation, right? And not being able to express their emotions. But as a man, like, what struck you when you read that?
Well, it just breaks my heart, you know, as like now that I have a son, you know, to think about, oh my gosh, like, you know, I don't know. I'm just trying to think about what if it's like the last thing I would want for him, or for any man, of course, but I don't know how articulate I could be in terms of like, you know, discussing issues or roots or anything, but the only thing I can think of is like, I just count my blessings that like I did have, you know, a present father, parents that are together, really good guy friends growing up, a really solid kind of youth group and youth minister who's a man who could kind of model, you know, authentic masculinity and like pursuit of faith, a good pastor at my parish who was a good father figure. And, you know, and even just seeing like my mom just being a strong woman, not putting up with, you know, my dad's has a strong personality, and her saying just basically like not dealing with when he was being selfish or, you know, or rude or, you know, and he's not perfect. I'm not trying to put him on blast because we all have our moments, but just the fact that like, you know, and not that my dad was like trying to run her over or anything, But just you know, her. Let me phrase it this way: seeing them treat each other as equals, like that was really
and her
important.
like calling him to more when he wasn't
Exactly
living up to his potential.
That's
and
what
stuff.
it is. Yeah. And which my wife does for me.
I was just
Don't
about to
we
say
know
that
it?
actually is crazy because it sounds like
Sounds familiar.
it sounds familiar. Literally just today, what were we talking about? And Rebecca like was standing there and she was like, "It sounds like she was standing right there and we were talking about something." And you were like, "Wow, way to go, Rebecca." Because I don't know, she had.
She did.
Yeah, you had
I don't
said
remember.
something, and then Rebecca just stood up and she was like, "It sounds like blah," or whatever. And then she just like went in her room.
Yeah,
it was
and you were
so-
like, "Good point."
Yeah,
Like, it was over. The
and
conversation
it was over. Yeah, but it was
That's
so
like every
wow.
day. I'm
But like, but
all
it's
over
such
the
a
place.
blessing that like she could say that to you and you weren't like, well, and like busted out into like a rage fit, you know, like
Yeah.
because that is a lot of men's reality when they don't
Right.
feel like they can express themselves.
I
you
know, and it breaks my heart, and like, you know, and I appreciate y'all affirming that, and like, you know, I'm grateful that I've been formed well enough that I'm not gonna respond in like a rage fit or whatever, because like I want to like address things, but it's like, you know, we all looked at the statistics of your podcast, like it is 90% women, so I don't know how many men are gonna hear this, but if you are a woman,
Don't worry. They'll tell the men.
No, well, that's what I was about to say.
We're not
is like,
scared to tell the
No,
men.
that's what I was about to say is like, I guess I want to be sensitive to like, you know, if you're a woman listening and you're like already thinking like, oh, well, my husband, my boyfriend, my friend, my best friend's boyfriend's cousin, they need, you know, it's like, I mean, I just like every other human, when I hear something good, I'm like, I do think of that person. I'm like, oh, they need to hear this. And so if there's something that you want to relay, I would just, the things that helped me that like, I guess just with my own perception of my own masculinity was the book Wild at Heart by John Eldridge. Like, I think that's a good starting place for any guy because it kind of like affirms a lot, and it kind of says, you know, like you've mentioned rage a few times, and I love, there's a quote that's like, men, not from the book, but another person says like, men should be capable of violence, you know, and not, they shouldn't be violent. They should be capable. And like, as a man, that makes me think like, you're right. Like I should be a warrior. Not, let me pause and say, I'm not saying like we should have the body dysmorphia of like, we need to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger and be like, be able to be cast in the movie 300, but almost like,
but
almost like
I would not hate that.
I mean, neither would I for myself. But anyways, but almost like this idea that like it's okay that like that capability is in there because like that's I just think that's a noble and righteous thing that like, you know, if someone busted in my door right now, I would throw the microphone down and I'd be on them, you know, immediately for the sake of every single person in this house. And that's a good thing. And so like that rage is like, well, the fact that they have it is good. The fact that it's coming out in extremely inappropriate ways is bad. And so
be channeled.
Right. And so anyways, yes, exactly. So Wild at Heart, I think, is a good foundational, like, hey, let's look at your heart as a man, you know, and talk about like those types of things. I mean, it's not a psychology book. It doesn't dive into rage specifically, but it does kind of help you understand like, hey, every man's emotions that they feel, which includes rage and whatever, every man's like desires, et cetera, like, these are all really good things, and they're universal between men. And, you know, good, holy masculinity looks like all of, like, taking all of those things and, like, going in that particular, the direction of, like, you know, holiness, et cetera. So it was extremely formational for me. And I just read it by myself. So it's not like, you know, I needed anything more just for that specific book. And I will disclaim, as a Catholic, there is a section where he does kind of get into body bad, soul good. That is heresy. We are both body and soul. We're not separate, you know, like
skip that.
Our bodies are good. So just be, you know, don't, you know, I forgot what the heresy is called, but
The more you know.
that's right. But anyways, but the book itself, I still recommend. And then a lot of I'm just a huge fan of Christopher West and like TOB and stuff. So just even diving into TOB and getting more into our personhood and like living fully alive, et cetera, and authenticity. And so, okay, if I was to try to address like isolation, the isolation thing, it's like I'm really not qualified at all. And it is tough. Like I can understand like if a woman sees like her brother or, cousin or boyfriend or friend or whoever, that's a man that is kind of like isolated or struggling. I mean, I don't know if there's like a one size fits all thing, but I would just start with like, what are you excited about, right? Like, are you excited about sports? Well, maybe there's like a league, like at the church, or maybe there's a league, like city, like parks and recreation centers usually might have like soccer leagues or basketball leagues or something, or just even, I mean, the power of Google, just saying leagues, basketball leagues in XYZ city. And just kind of having that ability to socialize and do what you love. And the nice thing about sports is like, find a softball league. You go stand in the outfield. You don't have to talk to anybody. You're just out there, waiting for a ball.
But you'll slowly like make connections or feel like you're part of something.
So I think a lot of, issues, I mean, just like anything, it's like taking that initiative is going to be the first step, and you're going to have to want to, right? So if you are a guy listening to this, if someone shared this with you, like, listen to this, first of all, I'm sorry if that's annoying to you, but they just love you. But
it's fine.
But yeah, like no one wants to force anything, but I would just start with like, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, just starting with like, what is the thing that interests you the most? And shoot, if it's video games, which I know a lot of dudes love, like there are like leagues and stuff, and there are, people get together and do that. So like, I'm sure there's something online, or I don't know, but the first step of getting out of isolation, I would assume, being a not professional, is to just find something that's not isolating. Like, like, okay, what are the things I can go to? Who are the people I can meet? And so I don't know if that's good enough advice, but that's what I would tell a guy friend, at least, is like, hey man, like, well, what are your interests? And that's a good place to start, because you don't want to force anything, and you don't want friends forced upon you, right? But I don't know.
No, I think that's really, really helpful. And I think something too, in regards to like the emotional expression, which it can be very isolating to feel like you can't show any feelings except for like being mad, especially because that like blocks you off from like serious romantic relationships in a lot of ways, because a lot of girls are not going to be like super into you only showing that you're mad. Like that's just not super cute to us in 2023, when we like know that there are guys out there who aren't like that. So like you have to kind of be a little more emotionally matured in a lot of ways. And I think that happens as far as like, because it's mostly women who listen to this, like allowing the men in your life to experience different emotions. And a lot of times we're like, I can't believe men only get angry. But then if like a guy is crying around us, we're kind of like, like, what is the vibe, dude? Like, get over it, and we have less compassion for if one of our guy friends is emotional in that way versus one of our girlfriends. Like that happens. And even like with young kids, like people listening are mamas, like it is like a big pressured thing. And you'll hear, especially like older generations, say to little boys like, oh, well, you shouldn't cry. Like big boys don't cry. And like, you can be brave. And that's how God made you, to be brave. And like, you don't need to be sad about that. And I think obviously I don't have sons, but being around you guys this week, it's been really awesome. As your son is starting to like feel emotions as he's getting older. Like I've heard you guys say so many times this week, like, oh, are you feeling sad? Would you like a hug? And like, how many guys, grown men, just need to hear someone be like, oh, are you feeling sad? Do you need a hug?
Yeah.
And permission that like they can be consoled and comforted when they're feeling sad, and that they don't have to just be like mad and storm off, but that they can actually like have someone hold space for their emotions and like even like physically hold them while they're feeling something, which so many boys stopped getting that at like a year and a half or 2 years old, like stopped being held when they're sad, and someone would just be like, oh, just like brush it off, like you're so big. And if you haven't felt that kind of compassion in over 20 years, it's probably uncomfortable to start, but
Then what
it
is
needs
it
to
like
start somewhere.
our expectations for men then that we're trying to foster relationships with? It's like we're not really in a place where we can really ask a lot because there hadn't been a lot given to them. Something that
We
I
have to
thought
be
was really
patient,
interesting was like, as y'all were talking, is I remember reading about how a lot of men, I forget what percentage, but like a huge percentage of men have never been given flowers in their whole lives. And I thought about
Makes
that,
sense.
and I thought about how like I'll go to like Walmart, whatever, and as grocery shopping, and then I'll like pick up some flowers, I'll bring them home, give them to my mom, or I'll buy them for myself, and I'm like, oh, flowers, There's something about flowers so beautiful and like make me have hope in the world. Yeah, I'm like, flowers are money, and so I like love buying flowers. And I thought to myself, I was talking to a guy friend actually the other day, and I was like, dude, it's so crazy. Like men don't receive flowers, and he was just like, oh, he was like, yeah, I guess I don't know, like I guess it would be weird if I got flowers like just had flowers in my house. And I was like, well, why? And he was like, well, I don't know, it's kind of really feelingsy to have flowers in your house. And I was like,
It's a
flowers.
plant.
It's a plant, but it's like,
They get them like a cactus.
Exactly. I was like, I'll
Something
get you
very
something
unapproachable.
Yeah, I was like, I'll get you something
kind
very
of
prickly, but like it's
kind of
off-putting.
intense.
But like it was interesting to think about. Like a lot of men haven't received flowers, like haven't received gifts, haven't received grace of just like, hey, totally get it. Let's have a moment. Let's take a beat. You need some time. Let's talk through it, etc. And it's really interesting to think about that when on the flip side of the coin, I mean, there is like the patriarchy, there is like, horrible mistreatment of women, etc., that are perpetrated by, perpetuated by certain men, right? So, but it's interesting to think about how we can have an uplifting role in getting rid of those things. And I think also of the Barbie movie, and at the end, if you haven't watched it, spoiler alert, you have like 2 seconds to skip 15 seconds. But at the end, when Barbie is talking to Ken, and she's just like, hey, because the whole movie, right, they're talking about how like dumb Ken is and how he's like obsessed with the patriarchy and just doesn't want Barbie to have any power. And at the end, she's like, it's okay to figure out who you are without me. Like, we don't have to be Barbie and Ken. You can be just Ken. Like, you can figure out who you are. You don't have to like horses, because he has like an obsession with patriarchy and the horses. She's like, you don't have to like horses. You don't have to be angry. You don't have to railroad us. You can just be soft. You can go rollerblading in Barbie Town. You can like be funny, and that's it. Like, you don't have to feel like anger all the time. You can be silly, you can be fun, and it was just, and seeing that like on a big screen, right, like giving men permission to be like, you can be something that's what society tells you like you shouldn't be, right? And so it's just so interesting. And so I think about that a lot, like how much responsibility do we have to also be a part of that change, in different ways, even just like getting our male friends some flowers and just like beautifying spaces and like inviting them into that and saying like, that's not something that's isolated for, women. Like, it's okay for you to be a part of beautiful things and like, and grace-filled moments. And like today we watched a ballet for like 20 minutes, and just like being a part of something that's beautiful, listening to nice music, like feeling emotional about like something sweet, like that's okay,
Yeah, or even like creating art.
Creating
like in
art,
a lot of
like
spaces,
it's beautiful.
like some men don't feel like they should create art because like that's not, they don't feel like it's masculine,
Yeah.
And so I think like permission to do that is cool,
For sure.
Thankfully,
Yeah, I think a lot of the expectation that you would find with men is like, they don't think, for whatever reason, some voice, some incorrect voice in the distant past said, oh, that's dumb, or that's girly, or that's like, you don't do that, or,
Yep.
you know, men in our house don't do that, or you're going to play football, you want to do ballet, but, you know, it's just like the ability for a man, a child, you know, a human male, you know, from birth to adulthood, like they just need to be able to like be themselves, right?
Yeah.
So like, you know, if Simeon's growing up and he's like, Dad, I want to dance, I'm gonna be like, that's awesome, dude. Let's go.
Well, then you better be
Let's
the
dance.
best darn dancer there ever was.
I know, I'm
We're
gonna be
excited.
like this and just like embarrass the heck out of him. But
Of course, as you should.
But you know, I mean, I'm wearing a flower shirt right now. I love flowers.
There it
I mean,
is.
I don't
He's
like.
bright. He's fun.
I'm bright. I'm wearing yellow pants right now.
I'm wearing yellow pants. He
Yellow
said,
pants. I love
I am
it.
secure.
He's crossed the threshold. But I think it's like, I think with, you know, with both of these stories that we've talked about today, it's like, it's all just about the nuanced complexities of the human person, right? And
Yeah.
it's like,
True.
we all have a lot going on. And for some reason, you know, we get in times where we've pigeonholed each other and ourselves into spaces that, you know, don't allow us to express and live the fullness of our created personhood, which is like men can do things that are beautiful and sweet and small and quiet, you know, and they could also be loud and rambunctious and silly and whatever, you know, and women can do things that are intense and, you know, sporty and dirty and messy and whatever. And it's like it's a beautiful, complex, nuanced way that we're all just like have such an opportunity to live and exist. And I think like us affirming one another in that and affirming each other in our creativity and our expression is so important. And so we are
Absolutely.
so happy that you've affirmed us, because in many ways, like having two women on a podcast where we're not, God bless, like these OGs though, that like lead us in prayer and lead us in spiritual exercise and lead us in, like, that's great. But like having two women that just sit and talk about pop culture and laugh and are just kind of silly and like will offer our opinions on mental health and things of that nature. But it's like, that's not really something that, especially in a Christian space, is popular, right? And is something that occurs a lot. So it is really, you know, that affirmation of us in that sense is huge. And so
acknowledging that girls are funny.
there it is.
We appreciate you.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah. No, y'all are.
But you did say we were funny on this episode.
No, that's true. Y'all are very funny, and you know, to the point, you know, I've tried to like make sure there's a boundary of like, you know, since I'm like technically the producer of the show, be like, I'm not gonna like enforce any, like I want you guys, like I trust your guts and I trust like what you want to do. You know, I don't want to control that. I don't want to censor anything. You know, it's like I trust like y'all having the freedom to be yourselves, like would yield the best result. And so, you know, I hope I can continue to do that. You know. Not that I plan on not doing it. I'm just saying, like.
But after this, notes. Every episode, notes. So far, no notes. Today,
No notes.
Notes. No, but seriously, thank you for everything you do for us. Thank you for being on this episode and for your thoughts as our resident male.
Yes.
We appreciate you. And we are so excited for Fio. We're pumped. We're pumped for our new home. We can't wait for it to be our only home. It's going to be a while, you guys.
That will
but
be a
soon,
while. That's the plan eventually for it
You're
to
going
be
to have to download
exclusively
that
on
app
Fio.
if you want to hear all these goods.
There it is.
But yeah, we're so excited, honored to be part of this journey.
Yeah. So if you're listening, streamfio.com, F-I-O, streamfio.com. You can learn more about the app and like different things coming. Sign up for updates. If you're a musician, you can. If you're an indie artist, you can apply. If you own a record label, you can apply. If you are a podcaster, you can definitely apply. And if you're an advertiser, you can apply because we will be running ads just like you have on Spotify. So Catholic businesses, come on, built-in audience is right there. So
I love that.
if you're a musician, novumrecords.com, you can check out what we're doing there. novumrecords.com/demo. Send us your music. I promise you, I listen to everything that gets sent to me, and I'm the one that responds. So you can test that. You can be like, whatever, this guy's not going to do it.
Baby Boy's a hustler. He's
He
going to
is.
do it.
Yes, my email is on 24/7.
Emails.
I don't check it 24/7. I'm just saying I will receive it and I will
It'll
read
be
it
there.
eventually, and I will get back to you within 3 to 5 business days.
There it is.
That is
there
his
it is.
promise.
No.
Stamp it.
No, yeah, but no, I just love seeing. I think at the crux of it, and this is a huge thing that drew me to my wife, is like a big pillar of our relationship and of our just how we want to exist in the world is to see people thrive. We love it. We love being hospitable. We love people, seeing them like in their dreams come true, seeing them be fully alive. Like I said, is it JP2 or something? Who says the glory of God is man fully alive?
Yeah.
Saint Irenaeus.
Thank
My wife, she
the Lord.
knows
that
everything.
your wife
She's
is here.
over here
She knows
supporting me
everything.
from the wings. I'm like, what is that, babe? She's like, this.
Help me.
Help. She's amazing. Yeah. So she's a great mother to Simeon. And let me just say, like, we treat Simeon well because we've learned a lot from this one. Jasmine is a huge inspiration for our parenting because Jasmine is the pro.
She is a wonderful mother.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful mother.
Thank you. I appreciate
We'll gas you
that.
up.
I
You
will
are a
receive
great
that.
mommy.
I was
Great
gonna
mom, great
respond.
godmother.
Yeah. Great friend. Great sister. Great daughter.
But you guys are awesome.
Wow,
and
this is the affirmation episode. I'm
that's what
feeling
the title
good.
is. The
I'm feeling
affirmation
so
episode.
gassed up.
Mm-hmm.
I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, but also if you're listening, be affirmed, like you definitely have gifts, you definitely have something to offer. The devil is going to say, don't listen to him. You don't. It's like, well, no, you do. Like I promise you, if you need to be gassed up, DM me and I will do it.
Yeah.
Like,
DM Will Hickl, DM Anti-Depressing. We'll hype you up.
Yeah, my last name is spelled Hickl, so Will Hickl, no E. I'm on Instagram. Holler at me. Send me, your art. If you're just like, hey, I drew something, check this out. I'll be like, that's great. Keep going.
That's great. I love it.
Because
draw some more.
yeah, and if you need encouragement, I'm not joking. Like I love it. I don't mind. And yeah, sadly, the world kind of just needs it. And I'm not doing it because I'm like, oh, there's a void. Let me just do this. It's like, no, I genuinely am excited for people when they are excited about what they're doing and excited about their own art. So if there's no one out there that's doing that for you, let me be the first. But anyways, I don't know. I want people to be loved.
I love
that.
this guy.
The way I love you so much.
I know. I'm like, gosh, anybody else want a hug? But it's
Are you sad? Do you want a hug?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's affirmation, right? Like we all need it. We all need times where we're just motivated by other people because you can't motivate yourself.
Yeah, we need people to just carry us.
We just need people to carry us. There are so many times where I've been like, I don't need anyone. And then I just go limp and I let people just friggin' drag me across the finish line because I can't do it myself, right? And so we all need people who need people.
Well,
so
we were made for communion. That's
is.
why we go to church together and not alone.
It is community, baby.
Yeah.
Communia.
So for the sake of community, listen to this podcast with all of your friends. Listen to this podcast with your mom and dad. Listen to this podcast with your significant other.
Listen to it at your church.
Listen to it at your church. Listen to it. Yeah. While you're waiting to get your oil change, listen to this podcast.
Play it out loud.
Play it out loud.
For the people at the old
comment,
place.
like, subscribe.
Play it out loud in Target because I feel like the ladies shopping at Target would be into it.
Connect to the Bluetooth in the speaker section and play us.
That's
right?
so true. Just leave it. Leave it while you shop.
That's the new social media challenge is anti-depressing
That's
in
so
Target.
True. Just Target.
This should be a challenge on TikTok.
Be so good.
Play an episode or it should be this specific part of the episode.
Play it, and then to go do your shopping. Leave it hooked up. Keep it playing.
They'll never know where the phone is.
They'll never be able to figure that out.
Just turn the speaker off.
And jokes on them. You're connected to 10.
The challenge needs to be how long can you keep
till someone turns it off.
So who can keep the episode rolling the longest?
Oh my gosh.
In Target, we'll give you something. I don't know what.
I don't know. Someday we'll have merch. We'll send you a little something.
Whoa.
Look out. You hear how I just said that with such confidence?
Yeah.
That's how you get things done.
That's right.
But you guys, comment, like, subscribe, affirm us on social media.
Smash that like button. I don't even know what that means.
And we have one more that you'll need to start adding after this episode airs.
Say it.
Stream this on Fio.
Whoa.
Stream this on Fio.
Stream this on Fio.
You know, I always say smash that like button because of the YouTube creators era, but is there a like button?
Yeah.
Not Well,
Not
You
on
can,
really
like
anything.
things and
you
it
can.
goes under
You'll be able to.
liked.
Well, eventually on Fio, you'll be able to follow a show.
Whoa.
Yeah, but you know when I'm like smash that. I mean, only that it's only relevant if you're watching it on YouTube, huh?
Right. Yeah.
What some people do.
No. I'm not saying people.
I'm just curious if that's like a relevant phrase
I
anymore.
feel like this is an offline conversation. It is relevant.
I love that people. So if you're watching it on YouTube, smash that like button.
That's right.
If you're on
love y'all.
Spotify, rate us
There it is.
And respond to the question.
and respond to the question. It's gonna be.
And if
good.
you see us in person, affirm us. We love you
We
guys.
need that.
We're so happy to be here. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Thank you, Will. Wait, did you have something to say?
Did I?
You went,
Oh no.
okay, say bye.
All right. Bye. Oh wait, are y'all gonna do your sign off?
Oh, the world is depressing, but we are not. Wow. I'm like crippled under the pressure of you being here that I've forgotten everything. I'm like,
Forgot how this
it's not
episode
like you're our
normally
actual
goes. I
boss,
know.
but now I'm like sweating like you're my boss.
I know.
Okay, let's finish. Ready?
Yeah.
The world is depressing.
But we are not. Talk to you guys
Bye.
soon. Bye.